How do you feel about the appointment?
Good, babe. I'm gonna get great news, and you know, hey, we'll just take it as it comes.
Look at the camera.
Love you.
Love you too.
Why I gotta look at the camera?
I'm recording it.
Oh, alright. But yeah, we'll push through, man, and I have a good feeling about today.
Yeah,
Really
hopefully.
good feeling about today.
So I'm gonna go on a rant a little bit here. So I just finished calling my insurance company about this appointment that we have, and in Atlanta there are pretty much 4 big providers, and 2 of them are out of network, and this is one of them. Like, what the fuck? You literally don't have many options for infertility, and it's gonna cost you even more, and infertility is already expensive. So I'm just not very happy at this point, but let's go see what happens in this appointment. Hey guys, just wanted to pull the camera out and kind of get my thoughts together on everything we learned at the appointment we had on Wednesday, which was January 31st. Today is February 2nd, it's Friday night. I'm waiting for my husband to come home so that we can go out, because I have been in a funk since that appointment. First of all, let me just say that thank you guys so much to the people who message me and tell me their story, and you know, people who aren't ready to go public about having to go through this, but you reaching out to me makes us both feel like we're not alone. So I just really want to thank everybody for doing that, and if you have a story you're not ready to share and you need someone to talk to, feel free to message me at any time. So on Tuesday, the one thing I've kind of been struggling with is we went over everything, and the new doctor is great, the new practice is great, and the TV's on. The new practice is great, the new doctor is great. We did kind of had something that kind of got me really upset before the appointment, so I called my insurance to let them know, hey, I'm switching like infertility providers, because you know, infertility, or if you don't, infertility insurance coverage is basically non-existent or it sucks. And I had someone on the phone tell me that the doctor we had selected was not in network for the infertility program, which made me really upset because I had such a horrible experience at my last RE that there was just no way I was going back to. It's still kind of confusion that's still up in the air. I really don't have a real answer, but it made me so upset that I was crying on the way to the appointment, and I was like, this is not a good omen, here we go again. So we'll just wait and see how that all turns out. So we sat down with the doctor, and she's amazing. I really liked her, my husband really liked her too. And we went through everything in detail. Everything I'd experienced, as many cycles as we've been through. And one thing she did mention, I had a question, and this is something I didn't know until I got the physical records from my old RE's office. I had an HCG, and HCG is the pregnancy hormone they measure in your pee, or in this case in blood, to determine if you're pregnant or not. And that's a test you take every cycle to see if you're pregnant when you're going through infertility. And back in July, I got a pretty decent positive, I don't know if I'll post a picture in here, if not, pregnancy test last July, like 2 days or the day before I went into my office to get my blood drawn to see if I was pregnant. So anything at my clinic they consider pregnant is 5 and over. So my doctor's office, I had missed the call. They just left a message, which they usually do, and they didn't usually give me a number. And I didn't even think to ask. I didn't think this was a thing. But going through my chart, I noticed that my HCG level was 4.4 that cycle in July. And I didn't know this until maybe a few weeks ago when I got my records, but I had always had a question, like, what was that? Like, I got a positive pregnancy test, and I even went, and you infertility girls know, like on this Countdown to Pregnancy website where you post like pictures of your pregnancy test, and you ask, like, you let people will tweak it or invert the colors, and you say, does this look positive? And everybody said yes. My husband saw the line. I texted it to my mom. She thought there was a line there too. And then they just kind of called the next day and were like, okay, well, you're not pregnant. So I asked the new doctor about it. She ended up saying that most likely, you know, she can't go back in time and check, but most likely that was a chemical pregnancy that I experienced. Different people will tell you that is basically called a missed miscarriage. People who aren't going through fertility treatment are not going to check on a pregnancy test until a few days after your missed period. And by that time, I wouldn't have been showing that I was pregnant at all. So I caught it very early. My clinic definitely should have let us know that was happening, and we definitely would have had a regroup like, hey, you know, why is this not happening? So I noticed it on that record in July because I had a friend's wedding that, like a few days before that, I got really, really sick that night. Like a beyond bizarre reaction for me for alcohol, and I got super sick that night. And I was like, this is such an overreaction right now. And I always thought it was weird, but I just chalked it up to, you know, getting drunk, whatever. What was I saying? My cycle is supposed to come maybe Wednesday, Thursday. So what she wants me to do is, she likes the Ovasitol that I've been taking that's been helping me with levels. She wants to get a baseline blood work done. So whenever day 1 of my cycle starts next week, I will call them and schedule blood work, a baseline ultrasound, an SHG, which is the saline sonogram, and I don't have to repeat the HSG. She was concerned about that because she didn't get the images from my old clinic, and she needs to see them because that thing was terrible. But then I hear about SHGs being terrible too, so I want to do that. So what she prescribed me also, and she wants me to keep taking the Ovasitol, but she wants me to get on metformin after I've done my blood work, which I think is interesting. And this was never suggested by my last doctor, but my mom, who's a nurse, you know, she was saying, she's always said that, like, well, haven't they tried this? And I'm like, no, the doctor never brought it up, whatever. She likes the Ovasitol, but she's really into, you know, scientific based things that have the research back behind them that work. She gave me some Prometrium if I need it. That's just to induce a period if my period doesn't come, because, you know, I do have PCOS, so irregular periods come with part of the territory. And an SHG is just, they basically, from what I understand, they fill your uterus up with fluid to see if there's anything wrong with the lining or is there anything in the cavity. So yeah, so that was exciting, but I think also I've been super down since the appointment. And I think it's, and my therapist says this, and I'm gonna go see her. I made a new appointment with her, even though she's so booked up, I can't see her for like another week, or yeah, the day before Valentine's Day or something like that. She says you have to mourn the loss of things along this journey. So when we first started, you have to mourn the loss of not getting pregnant the natural way. And you have to, you know, in between different treatments, you have to mourn the loss of, okay, well, it's not working with medication. Okay, well, it's not working with IUI. Or, okay, it's time to move on to IVF. And I think that's where we are at this point. And it just makes me kind of sad because, yeah, I think this is like the last cycle, the last hope we had of getting pregnant naturally. So if this one doesn't work out, I don't know why I'm so weepy. This cycle doesn't work out, which we will know within the next week. Yeah, I think that's where we're headed. And our idea was always to go through and say, hey, let's do one more IUI, let's do one more something with different medication and see what happens. But in her opinion, she doesn't want to waste our time, and you know, age is definitely a factor with infertility. She doesn't want to waste our time, and I've tried medicated cycles with timed intercourse or IUI so many times that she really doesn't see the benefit. But we're gonna discuss that more once all the blood work comes back, once I get all these tests done. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this in my last video, but there's nothing wrong with Doug. Doug's great, all his numbers look excellent. So it's just this PCOS that we have to take care of. And then today's like cycle day, or days past ovulation, day 9 or day 8, I'm not exactly sure. But then I took a test and it was like super, super, not positive, super, super negative. And that always like brings me down. I don't know why I do it, but I can't, like now because of the chemical thing, I'm paranoid. It always puts me in a funk when I do that. They're always negative because they always are. But yeah, so that's where I am. So yeah, I've been finding it helpful to share on like Instagram and things like that. Anyway, it's Friday night. I just wanted to give that update. Ooh, tomorrow I am starting volunteering with this puppy orphanage here in Atlanta called Bosley's Place. So I'll be there. I'm a puppy wrangler, which is so fun, and I thought that would be helpful and it would really cheer me up because I love animals. And I did get the go-ahead to start my fancy goldfish tank. I think I want a 30 or 40 gallon. I'm either gonna do, I actually don't know what type of goldfish I want, but I think I want a Ryukin, something with a long tail. I don't want, it's gonna be a fancy goldfish. It's not the goldfish you see in Petco. I don't really like the telescopes because the eyes kind of freak me out, but I don't know. I'm gonna get 2 fancy goldfish and it's gonna be fun. So, Doug's home. What do you think about this thing, whole thing, Doug? What the doctor said.
Well, I think we gotta keep faith and keep pushing. I mean,
Why are you being so awkward?
it's a whole lot.
Yeah.
I mean, infertility period, it's a lot. You know, so it's just kind of like, what are we supposed to do? But as long as you're happy, then I'm happy.
Longer than what?
You're happy.
I mean, I'm not happy.
I know you're not happy right now, but you're happy with the steps that we're taking.
Oh.
Aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Plan of attack.
And so what I'm saying right now is I wouldn't know that unless you made me feel like I needed to know that, and you do.
You wouldn't know what?
I wouldn't know you were unhappy. You know what I mean? Like, coming from a man's perspective, it's just kind of like we're detached to a certain extent, but the more we communicate with
You mean about the steps, not feelings.
the steps to be able to have a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't mean my feelings, because you know how I feel about it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I see that every day. But
Yeah. I cried
yeah.
earlier when I was talking about it.
today?
Yeah, on the video.
Really? Oh, well.
Okay, let's go. We'll get some pizza.
Okay. Does that make you happy?
Yeah.
All
Or
right,
Shake
that's
Shack.
cool. Shake Shack's far away. We can get pizza.
You want to go to like Gypsy Kitchen or something?
I mean, that's cool.
He's so awkward. All right, we can go to Gypsy's.
What we want?
Southern Gentleman.
Southern
and
Gentleman.
Shake Shack.
It's right next door to Gypsy Kitchen. And Shake Shack's right below them. And we back. We had a good night. You know. Trying to get our mind off some things. It's the end of the week. It's Friday. We ain't got no jobs, but we got jobs. And we got shit to do. You know?
I look crazy.
Mm-hmm. You look
have clothes
beautiful.
on, I promise.
You like a ninja.
I look like a burrito.
Yeah. But yeah, man, we just came back, man. This what happens when you go out. My bad. This is what happens when you go out. We lit. Bye.